December 31, a few more hours, and it will be 2024 na po, which will be a better year in the global human struggle against the 500 years era of Western imperialism and hegemony. Kaya po ako nagsisimula dyan sa bagay na yan. Yan ay nakikita po natin sa tuloy-tuloy na pang-aabuso, pang-api, gugulo po ng Estados Unidos sa Gaza. Pineprente lang po ang Israel. Incompetent leadership of the United States of America after 200 years. And of course, particularly 150 years as a dominant power, 100 years more or less since the First World War, where it emerged as the major power of the world. But it is the carrier of Western imperial culture and supremacism. Let us make no mistake about that. Asia and the rest of the world, the global South, Africa, Latin America, the West Asia, should teach the West a lesson that they can no longer think of themselves as a superior race, and they have to be taught a very painful lesson in the wake of this genocide they are doing in Gaza. Nais natin batiin ang gobyerno po, ang pamahalaan at ang mamamayan ng South Africa, yung bansa pong sinipa ang white apartheid po, ang racism ng mga puti. At ngayon po nangunguna sa pagtutuligsa sa Israel. Bakit nasabi natin yan itong umagang ito? Kahapon po kasi nag-file na po sa International Court of Justice ang South Africa ng investigasyon, ng petisyon sa investigasyon ng Israel for war crimes, for human rights crimes. I don't know the particular terms they have been using. I've just come across the official reports from even South Africa, so alam natin official na po ito. Again, I will announce to the later comers po, South Africa has filed a case in the International Court of Justice, hindi po sa ICC. Hindi po sa ICC, hindi sa International Criminal Court, kundi sa International Court of Justice na totoong korte po ng United Nations at hindi po yung ICC. Yung ICC po, we should condemn. We should also express this in our Facebook posts, our Twitter posts, our TikTok posts, and so on. That the ICC has not condemned, has not taken any action, taken steps to investigate the genocide in Israel, in Gaza, ng Israel. So, lahat tayo ay sumasaludo po sa South Africa sa kanyang kilos na ginawa. Tayo ay saludo din po sa Turkey, na tawag na yon, at ang kanyang presidenteng Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Gusto ko kasing mga alala po how to pronounce it. Sa tawag dito kay Benjamin Netanyahu na Hitler po. Well, the world is watching Gaza and the genocide there, and very eager to see action against Israel, but taking the legal action while Israel is baiting Iran to start a regional war, which Iran has patiently declined by persisting in the longer-term strategy of drawing Israel into successive opening of new fronts in possibly ang next front po, possibly ay sa Yemen laban sa mga Houthi, o doon sa northern portion of Israel sa borders ng Lebanon against Hezbollah. Isa-isa po before the rest join in, Turkey and so on before Iran. So we will watch that. The second matter that I want to bring up this morning, ay itong editorial ng Tribune, Daily Tribune, kasi po ito ay ating dinala sa ating pansin through WhatsApp first by a friend, and then sa WeChat may nag-post din po na ang pakay po ang paksa po ay yung fifth columnist daw sa China, fifth columnist in our midst. Siyempre, ang sinasabi pa ang kanilang inuulit-ulit ay yung paratang ni JV Ejercito sa mga pro-China daw na sinasabi nila ay mga bayaran daw ng China tulad ni Mark Lopez in particular. Pero paulit-ulit lang po itong mga akusasyon. Samantalang hinamon na po ni Mark Lopez sa Facebook ata, na doon po nagsasagutan yung dalawa, sa Twitter ata din and elsewhere. Mark Lopez nahamon kay JV Ejercito na magtawag siya ng hearing para patunayan niya sa harap din ni Mark Lopez yung sinasabi niyang state-sponsored at bayaran ng China. Wala naman pong hakbang ganyang ginagawa itong si JV Ejercito. Hindi po kagulat-gulat yan dahil po peke lang po talaga yang si JV Ejercito. Of course, ilang buwan na po na nagsimula po itong mga paratang laban din sa ating think tank po by none other than J. Tariela ng Philippine Coast Guard. Sabi niya, state-sponsored talaga yung mga yan. Nasaan na ang inyong tapang na ilabas ang ebidensya? Ang tapang po ninyo na harapin kami? Ang tapang nyo na ingalan si Kaado, Mentong, Kaana, or anybody? Give name names. Mga utang kayo ng ina nyo. Dinadaan nyo sa paulit-ulit na lang propaganda po sa mainstream media. So unang tanong ko, bakit nga kontrolado nyo ang mainstream media? Anong papel, magkano yung ginamit ng Daily Tribune sa editorial nila para ma-publish po ito? Ilang pahina po ito? Magkano yung inyong ginugol dyan sa editorial na yan para i-imprint yan, ikalat po? Daan libo po, no question about it. How do you maintain your paper if not funding from number one, yung corrupt na Alvarez, what's his first name? Dating Speaker of the House ng Philippine Congress na balitang-balita, and it was proven that he absconded with 500 million pesos from the House, but no pursuit of this case has ever been done because of our corrupt system. Well, we're very proud that we are causing them such great consternation, such great troubles that they have to go out of their extent. Especially, we're very happy that the Americans are funding this with the $500 million extra budget from the U.S. Congress approved last year for their anti-China propaganda campaign na pumapasok na po sa Pilipinas, including the so-called scholar na Ona ang pangalan, I don't know, I don't care to remember his first name, ng De La Salle University, kung saan ako nag-aral din po. But let me say that sa De La Salle University, maraming pinupondohan po ng Japanese militaries. I have named some names before because we researched their background, some of the professors there. Mga pinupondohan ng Nakasone Institute, the right-wing militarist think tank po sa US, pinupondohan po ng dating pamilya ni Nakasone na naging Prime Minister din po ng Japan po. and so on. So, well, anyway, we just want to acknowledge the error of Daily Tribune trying to blame others for what they are really committing, the sin of being traitors to, well, our program as dubbed by the founder of this show, si Kaado, Unfinished Revolution. Ang ating ruling class po ay mga traidor sa Unfinished Revolution na sinimulan po, very timely to recall, nila Gat Jose Rizal, yung grupo ng Plaridel, La Solidaridad, who were struggling against Western colonialism. So, it's a very good day to expose them, including the armed forces of the Philippines. Let us remind them na ang kanilang ugat po ay yung Makabebe. Diyan po, hinugot po yung unang Philippine Scouts na naging pundasyon ng Armed Forces of the Philippines under the Commonwealth with the United States of America, and has not been actually reconstituted ever since. Now, that does not detract from the genuine patriots diyan sa armed forces. Pero pag ini-insist po nila yung issue ng patriotism, then I will insist on bringing up the fact that the vast majority, again, with due respect to those who I recognize as real patriots, and I know them, I am in touch with some of them. Some of the retired, I can mention the names, like Dante Langkit, na dating sumali sa Magdalo. Ngunit ngayon po, I think he has separated from that group, and has been he was the first name in the list of names that petitioned against, wrote that petition of 141 PMA alumni members, who signed against the detention of Lorraine Badoy and Ka Eric Chelis. So people like that, I give them due respect, and I give them my salute as a civilian to their loyalty to the provisions of the Philippine Constitution, no matter how flawed it is. Some good people insert some good provisions there, like the Armed Forces of the Philippines as protector of the people and the Constitution, and not protector of the Congress, not protector of the Senate, and not protector of the President alone, but of the people. So, wag nating kalimutan. Yes, Kaado. Hindi makapigil si Kaado. Come in, please, Kaado.
Huwag ka na mapikon dito kay JB Ejercito.
Hindi tayo napipikon. He is incapable of making us pikon, but we're making a point about our nation.
Anyway, you know why? Mas mataas pa ang IQ ng dolphin kaysa dyan kay JB. A dolphin has an IQ of 90. Ayan, si Ejercito has an IQ below 70. So that's between idiot, imbecile, and moron.
Okay.
And that's my honest opinion.
Yes.
Ito puta na yan, wala namang achievement yan dyan eh. Kumukulit. Ano yan eh? Ginawang ng mga anak sa labas. Ayokong gamitin yung Spanish word eh. Mga anak sa labas ni Erap.
Erap.
Ha? Alam naman natin, daming naging babae niya si Erap. Siguro kung kay Jinggoy pa manggagaling yan, medyo palalampasin ko dahil si Jinggoy lehitimong anak. No? Pero yan si JB Ejercito putok sa buho yan ni Erap eh. So ako Siguro kung magkaroon ako ng oras after itong series na ginagawa ko ngayon sa New York Times, I mean sa Newsweek, gumagawa ako ng article eh. Papasadahan ko yan si JB Ejercito. Ha?
Okay. By
Pero
the way,
bilib ka naman kay Erap. Ha? Ina-acknowledge yung mga anak niya sa labas. Si Bongbong Marcos, hindi niya ina-acknowledge si Amy.
Yung Amy.
Yung Amy, oo, yung anak
Amy,
niya kay Teresita Romualdez. And I have an impeccable source dyan sa impormasyon na yan, who used to work with Malacanang for the longest time. No? So itong mga ganitong sitwasyon, Semen scandal in the political families of the Philippines. So, a pro-China stand may be part of a destabilization plan according to Senator J.B. Ejercito. Ano talaga? But the issue here is not even J.B. Ejercito. Mas masakit yung issue dito na ang standards of journalism in this country has become so low. During my days in the College Editors Guild, where we were taught the likes of Joseno Luna Castro, Chino Roses, Armando Malay, mga balita ought to be based on facts. No? Itong mga chismis ni JB Ejercito, sino ba may-ari ng Daily Tribune?
Well,
these are not facts. These are fuck you. Fake news. Nakakainis eh. Ako naiinis dahil ang ating Senado ay siguro 2-3 lang dyan ang talagang masasabi mo na who deserves their seat.
Well, there's another topic I wanted to discuss nga, no? I've been mulling it. In fact, mga 1-2 linggo na ako medyo unsettled ang aking spirits, no? Kasi by the way, the first item on my agenda is your article, your primer on Ayungin, part 2 ba to? Part 3? But hindi ako makapagsulat-sulat, hindi ako makapag-consolidate ng thoughts kasi nga iba-ibang maraming issue. But to me, the main, kasi I reflected also on the people that the Rappler uses, yung mga batang mga writers who are competent writers, but they're not complete human beings. Wala silang empathy sa sangkatauhan, wala silang empathy sa kapwa nila, careers nila at pera-pera nila ang inaatupag. Something is very wrong with these people. Something is very wrong with our society because these people are the ones all over in the positions of power, in the editorial boards of media, in media, except the reporters kasi wala namang control ang mga reporters sa general direction of Philippine media. In big business, nag-appoint na naman ng big business family member si Bongbong Marcos, thinking that the big business scions are the ones who can reorganize society. That is not going to work. This Gokong Wei scion or anak ba yan na pamangkin, I don't know, na inappoint po na pati si Bobby mukhang pinupuri because there is a basic wrong understanding of how to run humanity and society. You do not run it by so-called technocrats because technocrats have no human values. And that is the whole problem with the Philippine and its institutions and its entire society now. I will not shrink from citing our own group of people who are tuned in right now. These are the kinds of people who have empathy, who understand Philippine history as a history against colonialism and not riding with this momentary supremacy of the whites in our region. Ano? Lahat sila, Jabad Haydaran, Batong Bakal, kayo mangging, pero puti po yung utak po niyan. Ano? Pale face talaga. Because pera lang, ano? Walang empathy, walang real involvement with the struggles of humanity to enhance and to elevate the status of mankind
Mukhang
itself.
Mentong
Yes.
Nag-iingay ito si Jay Batumbakal dahil mukhang nalalampasan ng pondo ng American Kumpitsak ang CSIS at saka ADRI. Dahil dinidiretso ng ano ba yung agency na yun? US Agency for Global Media Affairs. From yung 500 million kasi binigay sa doon sa Media Affairs Office, US Agency for Media Affairs, no? Mukhang dinidiretso sa US Naval Institute at saka sa Stanford University. Hindi nakakakuha ng pera yung CSIS na nagpopondo sa Strat-based Albert del Rosario Institute na nagpopondo sa UP Institute of Maritime Law di Batong Bakal. Kaya medyo bitin sila ngayong Pasko, ngayong 2023, dahil ang nakikinabang dito, diretso, meron ako expose kasi tinatapos ang nakikinabang diretso ang Philippine Coast Guard. Because what I have discovered is that the Philippine Coast Guard is really being run right now, Mentong, by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. At full funding siya ngayon, diretso na. At diretso na yung coordination with Raymond Powell of the U.S. Naval Institute under the cover of the Stanford University Gordon Knott Center. What makes this possible? Ito pa lang si Chongson, yung US commander ng Philippine Coast Guard ngayon. Makinig kayo mabuti mga listeners, no? Mga watchers. Filipino-American pala ito. Si Chongson. At diretso na niyang pinatatakbo ang Philippine Coast Guard. In fact, nag-donate pa ng 11 million uli ang Department of Homeland Security diretso sa ating Philippine Coast Guard. 11, pero pesos lang. 11 million pesos. So, nawawala ng pondo ngayon itong Albert del Rosario Institute. Mukhang tinatabangan na rin si Manny Pangilinan, hindi na rin nagre-release. Dahil wala namang nangyayari for all the money that he has spent. Itong lobby ng Albert del Rosario Institute, if you will look at the website of Strat-based, is really to promote the business interests of the United States here in the Philippines and in the Asia Pacific. And one of these projects na pinasok ni Manny Pangilinan is of course the Forum Energy na mag-exploit dapat ng Reed Bank or Recto Reef. Nasemplang sila sa mga Chinese noong 2011. And since 2011, buhay pa nun si Albert de Rosario, of course, kamamatay lang niya over a year ago, to 2022. So 11 years, dinudugo si Manny Pangilinan funding strat base. So hindi na rin siya as enthusiastic. Basically because patay na rin si Albert de Rosario. Si Albert de Rosario, mga kabansa, at si Manny Pangilinan ang co-chairman, no? Chairman si Albert de Rosario, namatay, co-chairman si Manny Pangilinan ng Albert de Rosario Institute. So, diyan yung makikita, mga kabansa, kung sino ang mga state-funded, kung sino mga tumatanggap. And these are documented, Mentong, ha?
Yes,
These
yes.
are
Also,
documented.
let me add that si Manny Pangilinan ay co-chair ng US Philippines Society bang tawag doon?
Oh,
Ang kanyang co-chair si Negro Ponte.
Washington-based yan.
So,
Washington DC based yan.
US Philippine Society ba? O I think
Yes.
society ang society. So,
US
kita po
Philippines.
natin central role ni Manny Pangilinan sa lahat ng mga ito. At isa lang po ang objective ni Manny Pangilinan, ma-monopolize, ma-solo ang langis at gas ng Pilipinas para sa sariling kumpanya niya na amo niya ay foreigners, ng mga Salim Group, which is tied into the global financial Western Mafia. Western Financial Mafia po yan. Kaya po nagagamit po nila ang US State Department at malinaw po ang coordination and ugnayan ng mga yan. So I hope we are able to awaken the nation to these really essential facts about our situation. Yeah, back to you, Ado, before we go on.
Kasi basically, ang strategy ng liberal economy, as we are experiencing now, bakit nila inalis si Marcos Sr.? Because Marcos Sr. was leading the country up to 1985 to industrialization. Kasi ang kanyang program was a balance agro-industrial. Pero inalis nila si Marcos at ang strategy nito mga tinatawag na neoconservatives led by George Shultz and Paul Wolfowitz ay to privatize, deregulate, no? Liberalize, deregulate, privatize. Kasi pagka ang mga resources po ng isang bansa ay nasa kamay ng private sector, talagang gugutomin ng mga taong bayan at pahihinain ng demokrasya sa karamihan. And that will explain kung ano nangyayari sa atin ngayon. Sinasabi nila, kasasabi lang ni Marcos, ang laki na naman ang growth ng Pilipinas this year, ni Marcos Jr. Pero actually, malaki, totoo, macroeconomics. What do you mean by macro? Yung mga lalaking mga kumpanya lamang, doon lamang umiikot-ikot, nagpapalit-palit sila ng pera. Pero sa karamihan in fact, 90 to 95% of the population, at yan, naramdaman nyo ngayong Pasko na ito, tayo ay gahol na gahol. Hindi umiikot yung pera sa ilalim. Ang daming, sabi ni Larry Gadon, ang dami raw tao sa malls. Kasi siya ang chairman ng
Alam mo, bayaran niyang si Larry Gadon. I'm already fed up with that Larry Gadon. Sa lahat ng administrasyon, kumikita yan kay Gloria Arroyo, yung corrupt na Gloria Arroyo. Corrupt yan si Larry Gadon. I'm fed up with him. I'm finished with him. Babasura ko na po yan. But he is just the same kind of people as I was starting with kanina. Walang empathy. Pera-pera, bulsa, sariling bulsa. Anong sweldo niya doon sa kanyang pwesto ngayon para pro-poor daw? 100,000 din. Anong ginagawa niya? Namumulitika. That's all he's doing. No program for the poor. But this is the kind of people that get appointed. So we have to move on. Kaado, there was a troll that I hope Ka Joshua has already blocked off. Oh, yeah, talagang
Anyway, tapusin ko lang yung sentence ko. Sabi nila,
yes.
Ricardo, punong-puno daw ang mga malls. Eh, siyempre, punong-puno kasi nagwi-window shopping. At saka, ginawa ng pasyalan ng mga malls. Pero yung mga actual na bumibili, ay kakaunti.
Well, let's look at the statistics which we will show in a while, no, as we go along
Precisely.
with our agenda, no? Okay. Anyway, the first item dito sa agenda ko is to call attention to sa article now sa ating website, Asian Century Philippines po, ano. Once again, ay yung Initial Primer for Dummies, sinisimplify lang ni Kaado po yung mga puntos tungkol diyan sa Ayungin Shoal, ano. I think there is already overwhelming evidence that this is already outside of the UNCLOS dahil na-militarize po ng mga previous administrations ng Pilipinas and sinusustain ngayon beaching, ano, yung pagbahura ng military ship, which is the BRP Sierra Madre, is already a militarization of the situation there. Kaado has made that point also, and of course the article of our youngest think tank writer, si Danny Long, has made that point already, which Carpio could not answer, no? Kaya that's settled. The only way we will win in these disputes with China is to talk and meet halfway. Yun, malinaw ang panalo, may pakinabang ang Pilipinas. Dito sa konfrontasyon, sponsored by Raymond Powell, zero at negative pa po ang lalabas po dyan. Ano? Well, we'll move on. No? The second item again is we're calling attention to Ana Malindog-Cui's article now sa Manila Times, why it is important for ASEAN and China to work together to address the South China Sea dispute. And thirdly, si Mauro Samonte, our 83-year-old colleague who is tuned in right now, no? Has his column for today, China's Brilliant History of Non-Aggression. Marami pong nagkagusto dito sa article na to. So please, if you have time, visit and review and comment and share with other people. So Mauro, I asked him if he could participate today. Sabi niya wala siyang boses, medyo broken nga ang boses niya ngayon. But, well, I just like to also say now that dito sa neighborhood namin, I think this is going on in many other barangays na nagmumudmud po ang barangay ng mga ayuda daw, pati sa middle class, upper class, every home. It comes out parang napakaganda, nagbibigay ng ayuda, Christmas gift. Pero ano ang totoo dyan? It is not to help the people. May mga komisyon po dyan. Dahil if they really want to help the people, they will nationalize the power industry. They will bring down the power costs, revive the industrialization of the country, revive manufacturing, generate employment, put money in the pockets of the people. But itong klaseng ayuda, tulad ng sinabi din ni Martin Romualdez, Speaker of the House, yung 5.8 trillion peso Philippine budget po ay napakaganda. Kahit na may 500 billion peso unprogrammed funds na hindi alam ng bayan at hindi sinasabi sa bayan kung saan gagastusin dahil para sa ayuda daw yon. Eh maaasahan ba natin na may magandang gagawin para sa tao itong sila Martin Romualdez at mga kongresista, if not for themselves? Kaya unprogrammed po yan. Yan, papasok nila dyan sa mga deals para sa mga ayuda na may tubo sila na napakalaki, mas malaki pa dun sa halaga ng kanilang imumudmud na mga ayuda. That is the economy. Of course, that will be recorded in the GDP kasi naglabas ng pera ang gobyerno. Pero siyempre, yan po ay babalikan ng taxpayer sa ating binabayad na utang para dito sa mga libreng ayuda daw, libre daw, but we are really going to pay for it. That is why our debt keeps growing and growing until the collapse will be coming. But anong totoo tungkol sa investment sa bansa? Ayan na po ulit. We have again and again and again reported that the foreign direct investment is falling and falling and falling every year. Salamat kay Danny Long, kanyang pinost po ito sa Viber group po natin. Foreign direct investment net inflows fall in September. Nandiyan po ang detalya. The Philippines foreign direct investment net inflows in September 42.2% lower than the same period last year. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas said. Iyan po. So, anong sinasabi ni Larry Gadon? Hindot niya. Sawang-sawa na ako sa kanyang mga pambobola, sasakay-sakay pa sa atin. Pupuri-puri ng kaunti, pero actually corrupt siya. Utang na niya. Anyway, I'm going to get out of those Viber groups na, no, kaado. But ang sipag po ng Pilipinas po ay nakikita po dito sa pinost ng Tribune.net Philippines. Ano? Sa Pornhub 2023 year in review, sino ang sa Asia, sa mundo, ang pinakamalaking oras na ginugugol sa Pornhub? Pilipinas. For the population, average of 11 minutes and 15 seconds, Pornhub. Yan po, ang Japan, 11 minutes and 14 seconds. Egypt, 10 minutes and 48 seconds. Well, of course, this is not a very substantial matter, but nakakagulat din ang female po. Tinatalo po ang mga kalalakihan dito sa bumibisita sa Pornhub dito sa Pilipinas. But anyway, maybe this is one of the reasons why Philippine productivity is so low. And of course ngayon, even if our enemy in the media reports it, it's still factual. That's why it's convenient to post this na ang NAIA privatization po, sinasabotahe talaga nila ang NAIA para ma-privatize. This sabotage of the public institutions has been going on since Cory Aquino. I remember in 1998, sometime there, 1997, si Apeng Yap, the late Apeng Yap, congressman from Tarlac, pinsan ba? O tiyuhin ni Cory Aquino, na sosyalista dati. I think he was very supportive with the hook during the Second World War. Nagsumbong sa akin, Mentong, kasi board member siya ng MWSS. Sabi niya yung mga reforma namin sa MWSS, hinaharangan ni Cory. At sinisira, winawasak ni Cory ang aming mga ginagawa para ma-improve ang MWSS. This is a deliberate program to destroy public institutions, and nakikita po natin ay ang pag-appoint ng isang Go and other big capitalists sa kabinete. I will not mention the others dahil maybe some people will say self-interested ako. So I will not mention the others. No? These are all mistaken notions, no? Na ang kapitalista po at yung kanilang galing sa pagtatayo ng malalaking negosyo na exploitative of the market and the population ay kompetente sa pagpapatakbo ng lipunan. No, they are not. And so this is a deliberate, not because of their competence, this is a deliberate program of the global powers. Yung sinasabi lagi na nakasentro sa World Economic Forum, but there are powers behind the World Economic Forum. Privatization po. So I do not see. Yes, Kado, go ahead.
I just came from Subic. Nagkalat ho yung mga for lease, for rent signs, no? Yung mga bumalik na mag-invest after the pandemic ay nagsara na uli. At ang isang napakalaking nabalitaan ko, ito hong Cerberus na Australian-American company na nag-take over ng Hanjin, ay mukhang kinuha lang yung kumpanya para apakan ng preno against the possible Chinese investment for the shipbuilding. 33,000 pala ang employed dyan dati ng Hanjin, Mentong. 33,000. Ngayon, baka wala pa raw 3,000. At ang mga siniserbisyo lamang ay mga military, US at saka Philippine ships for repair, not really for shipbuilding. Samantalang ang China naghahanap talaga ng shipbuilding facility kasi ang maraming order sa China. Ang China may hawak ng maraming order. Itong mga Australian-American, sinong o-order sa kanila? Wala namang pera ang mga Western countries, ang Europe, ang even Australia, even the US. Walang pera yung mga yan ngayon. Even Japan, mahigpit sa pera ngayon at saka Japan has its own. So, inapakan lang ho ang preno, mga kabansa. Katulad nung Puga Island na dapat ngayon bristling with tourists, Chinese tourists, no? Kasi napakalapit sa Taiwan. Ay napreno. So talaga ito mga Amerikano, ito ho, kung kayo medyo kapos ngayon at nagugutom, dahil ho nakahawak sa handbrake ang mga Amerikano laban sa progreso ng Pilipinas. At hindi pa natatapos dyan. Itong mga paradigm shift ni Marcos Jr., na-discover ko Mentong 2022 pa pala. So talagang budol-budol to si Bongbong Marcos Nawa 1, 2, 3 tayo rito. Sinimula ng Project Mushu ni Raymond Powell. Bound to fail naman yan kasi wala naman yan kundi media hype. Hindi ba nagkaroon din ng media hype noong panahon ni Noynoy Aquino? Wala rin nangyari. So, it's failing now. They have reached a dead end. So, papasok naman ito ngayon, no? Yan ang topic ng mga columns ko na lalabas. May papasok namang gimmick kasi nangyari Mentong, naunahan sila sa non-lethal weapons ng China. Kasi ito naman mga green laser, ito naman mga water cannon, ito mga acoustic. These are accepted non-lethal weapons even by the United States Department of Defense, conforming to Geneva Convention protocols. Bakit pag China ang gumagamit? Mali. Pero pagka Amerikano, to the point na pumapatay pa sila hanggang sa halos burahin na nila sa genocide ng mga Hamas. Tama. Pagka Amerikano, tama pumatay ng libu-libong mga kabataan, mga kababaihan, pamilya ng mga Palestino. Pero gumamit lang ng green laser, water cannon, non-lethal weapons, acoustics, at China. Aggression na. JB Hercito, nakikinig ka ba? Baka ikaw ang bayag mo na maybe you left it in San Francisco or something else, no?
Well, okay, Kado, let me just acknowledge the financial support of Evangeline Baluyot, $79 Australian, 79 and 99 Australian dollars. And Rowena Quimado, 300, am I correct? That nakita ko sa messenger kanina, but I think 300 pesos din as she usually sends us. Thank you very much ulit sa ating mga katulong po dito sa gastusin. Our expenses are not very high, but we do have expenses. Ang ating Zoom po, we're paying, I think, $14 a month. Pero kung yan po, suportado po ng China, that's only 750 pesos ba? Am I correct? A month. Yan po ang sinasabi nila. Kumpara po sa $500 million extra budget for anti-China propaganda ng US Congress na kung ilang daang milyon ang pumapasok na sa Pilipinas, we cannot tell, but we know they're getting full-page editorials and so on. So we know they're really benefiting from the money already. Well, Kado, I have to move on. No? So again, I try to give the background of privatization. Hindi lang po yan dito sa Pilipinas. This is a global campaign of the global Western oligarchs to control economies and wealth of the world instead of having human beings share in all the bounties that are provided by nature, and for those who are religious, provided by their God. Ano? So we are in a struggle between, as somebody said here, the United States is satanic or something like that. If I can find it, again, baka pwedeng iulit niya dahil napakaraming pumasok po na text na po, comments na po rito. I cannot find it. Ano? But later on, maybe we'll see it. We will greet everybody a little later on. So privatization ng NAIA, and I think we have reported already in the past few sessions natin, the 500 billion worth of government assets will still be privatized under BBM. Na-anunsyo na po yan. No? So wholesale piracy po ng ating public assets po ang nangyayari. By the way, it's now 8:49. I have to think about a raffle. I just want to set it for next week na lang, Sunday, Unfinished Revolution. Our first watch, Huawei watch to be raffled for next week na lang po para malinaw po and we have enough time to prepare. No? So, Ka Joshua, let's keep that in mind. Ano? Okay. Ano? Can you be the one to remind everybody to join the Viber group? GTNR Revolution ba? Ka Josh? Yeah. Oh. Are you being heard? Are you being heard? You posted the link. Okay. Okay, pinost na po ni Ka Joshua yung link. Join po sa Viber GTNR Revolution Viber group po natin to join a raffle. No? Meron ding mga, by the way, I just remembered si Ginoong Froy, kasama po natin, is suggesting a meet and greet session. So we can also discuss our plans for 2024. Froy, si kasamang Froy has suggested that. So I'm thinking maybe Cubao is the best place to hold it. I'm going to ask Goto King if they have their outlets sa pa rin, sa Ali Mall, kasi that is the center, Cubao. What do you think? Is the best place po, mga kasama, sa Cubao tayo mag-meeting? Last time we put it sa Goto King dito sa Barrio Capitolio, but only I think First Verdan arrived late kaya hindi kami nakita. But early ang dumating si Juliet Camaro, which we had a long discussion. Pero dalawa lang po ang nakadalo. Baka mahirap talaga pumunta po rito sa Capitolio. So I'm thinking, and maybe you can give your opinion mamaya po sa mga comments kung mayroong comments na pumasok. Then kung Cubao or the other place is possible sa Centris, sa Quezon Boulevard corner, EDSA, or dito sa EDSA Central. Pwede rin pong maghanap po ng lugar sa EDSA Central. So pumili po kayong pwede nyong i-recommend, and then we will be bilangin na lang namin kung saan pinakamarami. Cubao, EDSA Central, o doon sa Centris, sa Quezon Boulevard corner, EDSA. At magsaset na lang kami ng place where we can meet. No? Okay, the privatization of NAIA is ongoing, and one of the first among 500 billion pesos more that Dong Bongbong Marcos will privatize to his oligarch friends. Now, we are not anti-oligarchs, but we prefer what we can see in China, Singapore, and Vietnam. The state is above the oligarchs. Tulad sa China po, pinagalitan at pinarusahan si Jack Ma, the richest man in China, for abusing. tulad sa real estate sector, developers sa China po na nag-abuso sa pangungutang. Ngayon na nagko-collapse po yung valor ng mga kanilang development dahil sa sobrang ginawa nilang pangungutang. Hindi po pinapasukan ng gobyerno na pondohan sila tulad ng Estados Unidos noong 2008. Kaya nagkakandara pa ang US ngayon sa utang dahil sa kanilang pag-i-imprint ng pera para suportahan ng real estate sector nila at banking sector nila na irresponsableng nagpautang para sa pansamantalang malaking tubo na alam naman ng mga bankero na magko-collapse yan, pero dahil po sila ang may control ng gobyerno, alam nila pupunuin ng gobyerno yan at the expense of the people. We cannot have this in this country if we hope to save the nation. So let us keep that in mind. It is an important backgrounder to what is going on here. And siguro it's important to appeal to our military, active po, to work with the alumni ng military po natin and the reservists to aim for a change in this setup and restore the state, the Philippine state, the people's welfare to the primacy of the government's program and to rein in the powers of the oligarchs. Talagang dapat tigilan na po yung sobrang pagsusubo ng lahat ng poder diyan sa mga oligarchs na yan. They are not competent in running a human society. They are competent in raking in profits. That's all. So what's happening to the Philippines, Kaado, na sinasabi nitong si Larry Gadon, mahusay si Bongbong Marcos, blah, blah, blah. Well, dahil sa kanyang foreign policy, kanselado ang, well, so far, kanselado by the words of the administration, ang North Express, ang North Rail, ang South Rail, ang Mindanao Circumferential Rail. But here, there is this appeal, urgent appeal from mga users ng Quezon Bicol Expressway. Si Albert Ang po ang nag-post po nito na wag na po kayong pumunta sa Bicol dahil pagdating doon sa may paglampas ng Pagbilao, katakot-takot daw ang traffic na, ang hirap ng daan. The Bicol Express revival would have solved this. Pero dahil nga nagpapatuta itong si Bongbong Marcos at itong naghaharing uri sa bayan natin, dahil pera lang naman po ang hinahanap nila, hindi po kapakanan ng taong bayan po. Yan, kanselado so far yung mga proyektong yan. But what is the reality? Yan po, nagdudusa po ang publiko dahil sa kanilang mistaken foreign policy. But what is China doing that the media is not reporting? Lumalabas lang po sa Facebook. Itong galing sa Energy China na projects, the Misamis Power Station in the Philippines. Again, sinasadya po ng mga oligarchs na limitahin po ang supply, but it is China that is helping set up energy supplies for the Philippines. Again, the Misamis Power Station, let me try to read, contracted by Energy China. The Misamis Power Station is the largest power plant in Mindanao. The construction of the project was praised by Philippine proprietors and the local electricity department multiple times for its fastest construction speed and the best performance indicators in the Philippines to date. Its successful construction and handover had promoted local economic development, improved people's living standards, and alleviated power shortage in the country. Yan. This is what we need. What is America giving you, Bongbong Marcos? More military bases, more tanks, more missiles. Ano ba? Paano ba makikinabang ang taong bayan dyan? Kundi maimbita lang po ang disaster pagdating ng gera na binabalak po ng Estados Unidos sa Asia. Another project from Energy China Philippines, the 350 kilovolts HVDC Mindanao Visayas interconnection project in the Philippines. The 350 50 kilovolts HVDC Mindanao Visayas Interconnection Project constructed by Energy China. It's the largest cross-sea DC direct current transmission project with the highest design capacity in the Philippines. As a crucial component in the Philippines' grand national interconnection, the project facilitates the cross-sea connection between the Visayas Islands and Mindanao Island power grids. Upon completion, the project will enable the interconnection of the main power grids in 3 major regions of the Philippines, significantly optimizing the national energy distribution and improving the living standards of the local population. Yan po ang gusto nating makita sa lahat ng mga sinasabing mga ibang bansang tumutulong. Concrete projects, hindi mga pangako. Isang pinagmamalaki ng mga pro-Americans ay yung daw ADB $2.5 billion dollar funding para sa Manila-Cavite Bridge, connecting bridge. Unang-una, wala nang perang pinapasok ang Estados Unidos sa ADB. So, wag niyo kaming lokohin. Wala nang pinapasok na pondo ang Amerika sa World Bank. Wala na silang pera. They are now 32 to 33 trillion in debt. Sasabihin na, pero hapon, alay ng Amerikano sa ADB. Hapon, totoo, nandidiyan po. These are old funds. But who is the next biggest contributor, if not the biggest contributor now? I'm still checking, reviewing. China. Tapos, papalabasin ninyo, parang walang tulong ang China sa ADB. China is the only progressive, positive factor in economic development of countries today. Dito man sa ASEAN, where for example in Thailand, I think later on we'll bring it up, the Thai high-speed rail, the Kra Canal project, the Kra land bridge, mga projects na pinag-uusapan ulit. Well, we'll move on kasi marami po itong ating mga tatalakayin pong mga topics o iuulat ng mga topics. We cannot dwell on all of them. No? It's already 8:59. Politika na po ang ating susunod na set of issues po. But Kaado, you might want to comment on this infrastructure, economic, FDI crash, and so on. Marami yan. Later na, okay. Sa politika naman,
within the context of politics.
Sa politika naman po, yung survey po na ginawa ng grupo ni Malu Tequia on the Senate. I don't know why they're doing this, but we don't know if everybody is speculating about the 2025 elections. I'm not really eager about elections. Gusto ko nga action ng ating military and civilian to redirect po the leadership of this country. Okay. But sa survey po, Rodrigo R. Duterte is number 1, top of mind for the Senate in the 2025 polls according to the Pahayag survey of Malu Tequia. Philippine voters also moving towards neutrality, the Pahayag poll says. Let me try to read. The trend was noted as Publicus Asia Incorporated unveiled the results of its survey conducted nationwide from November 29 to December 4, 2023. This indicated a noteworthy shift in pro-administration sentiment. Nawawalan po ng suporta si BBM, which declined from 50% in third quarter 2022 down to 40% in fourth quarter 2023. Now remember, wala pang isang taon po ito, nung ito'y inilabas. So, failure talaga po. But anyway, at the same time, the anti-administration sentiment remains stable, 18% now, while those adopting a neutral stance increased from 30% to 36% during the same period. Neutral kasi nga disgustado na sila sa BBM, ayaw pa umamin po na oposisyon ang sagot. Well, maybe they're correct. maybe not the opposition as we see today, but a broader opposition, which I always repeat, including the military idealists and the civilian idealists. Economic concerns, paulit-ulit lang po ito, including price inflation, joblessness, low wages, and a perceived lack of productivity emerge as driving factors behind the changing political landscape. Hindi ba tayo, Kaado, tayo mga kasama dito, ang nangunguna sa pagpapaliwanag na mali ang emphasis po ng administrasyon, katrayduran po yung ililihis po dito sa main issues at dadalhin po sa territorial issue na walang katotohanan po. At pagpapanik po sa Amerika na ang interest po ay hadlangan po ang economic development and growth ng Republika ng Pilipinas. Yan ang totoong katrayduran. So we have read this and we move on until Kaado comes in. SMNI takes NTC, National Telecommunications, to court over the 30-day suspension. Alam na po natin yan. I just wanted to formally register this information dito sa ating mga diskusyon for any comments ng ating mga kasama which we are recording. I will move on next to one of the major and very many items along this line on the South China Sea issue. Kasi ang katorpehan po, lumalabas na naman po. At kung may naniniwala pa dito sa mga anti-China, China-Philippines talks and dialogues people tulad nitong si Batong Bakal, torpe na rin sila. Okay. Kasi itong si Batong Bakal ngayon sa isang interview po, reported by Sunstar Davao, sabi, maritime expert Batong Bakal calls PBBM to file a case versus China before UN tribunal. Uulitin yung ginawa nila sa arbitration. Appearing on the Way Forward public affairs show hosted by lawyer journalist Karen Jimeno. Si Karen Jimeno po, early pa po in the 20,000s po in the year I think 2005, 2003, na-identify ko na yan na tulad ng mga Maria Reza, mga Patricia Evangelista, mga Camille,
Mentong.
Yeah.
Kaya nagkakaganyan yung mga abogado yun eh.
Yun na nga. Sabi ko nga dito, before I go back to you, sabi ko nga dito, the definition of insanity, sabi ni Einstein, is doing the same thing over and over expecting different results. But hindi naman stupid po sila Carpio at sila Batong Bakal. Kumikita lang po sila dyan. Kaya parang yung katuwaan tungkol sa mga abogado, hindi ko pinapanalo ang kaso para yung anak ko naman mamana itong kasong ito. This is what they are doing. This is what the Americans are doing. But let us keep in mind and let's tell people, look, 7 taon na ata, 1986, 2016, 7 taon na po, pinangako ni Carpio, China will comply. China is not complying. China is standing firm. And you, Carpio, is facing a blank wall with the arbitration case. No compliance. Uulitin ngayon ni Batong Bakal na mag-file ulit kasi nga, pinopostpone nilang inevitable, which is nothing will happen. At nawawalan lang po tayo ng ilang taon na tuloy-tuloy, ilang taon na hindi po natin ma-develop at makuha yung pamamahagi po doon sa sharing po with China ng mga resources dyan. Tayo ang talo po dyan sa ganyang ginagawa po nila Batong Bakal, nila Carpio. Kaya back to you, Kado.
Well, kasi napansin nila, hinihimay-himay na natin sila dito sa arbitral award na pinagmamalaki nila mula pa nung Hulyo 2016. Mentong. Katulad nitong sa Ayungin Shoal. Kaya nga sumulat ako, once again, Ayungin Shoal Primer for Dummies. Bakit? Hindi naman ako nawawala ng pasensya. Kung gusto nilang pabalik-balik, pabalik-balik din ako. At tuwing babalikan ko sila, may mga nadidiscover akong bago mga argumento. Unang-una, itong gagong si Batumbakal, ha? At itong gagong si Carpio. Anong sinasabi nila nun? Na atin ang sovereignty rights dyan sa Ayungin Shoal. Dahil ang kanilang argumento, 115 nautical miles lang yan mula sa Palawan. Totoo naman, dahil ang exclusive economic zone, theoretically, ay 200 nautical miles. So, pasok ang Ayungin Shoal. Yun kung bobo kausap nila. Pero, may isang kondisyon sa Ayungin Shoal na namamayani na hindi naman nila sinasabi sa taong bayan. Niloloko nila mga tao. Ano ito? Na ang Ayungin Shoal is, sabi nga, sa paragraph 1161 ng mismong arbitral tribunal na pinagmamalaki nila na victory daw for the Philippines, ano sabi ng punyetang papel na yan? That the area is quintessentially militarized. Ano ibig sabihin dito ng arbitral tribunal? Na ang isang EEC, bukod tangi na within 200 nautical miles, ay hindi pwedeng magkaroon ng benepisyo o sovereignty rights o karapatan pagka may kondisyones na may mga militaring nagtatalo dyan. At ang hindi nila sinasabi nitong gagong si Batumbakal, bato na, bakal pa, gago pa, ha? Pilipinas ang nag-militarize niyang area na yan dahil binahura yung BRP Sierra Madre. So ano ngayon? Pati si Carpio ngayon, nagbabago na isip, Mentong. Kasi ang nagiging direksyon ngayon ni Bobo Marcos, aba, sabi ni Bobo Marcos, di, kung ayaw ng China na military outpost sa ilagay natin dyan, maglagay tayo dyan ng lighthouse at saka isang permanent structure for fisher folk. O ano ibig sabihin Carpio ngayon? Ang stand ni Carpio ngayon dito, Mentong, is to demilitarize Ayungin Shoal. In order to do that, Mentong, kailangan tanggalin yung BRP Sierra Madre. Dahil ano ba yan? Ako, Diyos mio naman. 24 anyos lang pinagtatalunan yung kalawang na yan. Wala naman silbi yan. Hindi naman nakakatulong sa atin yan. Nakaka-aggravate pa nga ng tension dyan dahil nagpapalusot sila, nag-i-smuggle sila ng construction materials na taliwas sa protocol. Na mula pa nung kay ERAP, pinapatunayan ni Voltaire Gasmin nung panahon ni Noynoy at pinaluwag pa yan nung panahon ni Duterte dahil nagkaroon ng Coast Guard to Coast Guard direct communication sa under Duterte. Nagkaroon ng tinatawag na kooperasyon. Kung talagang ayaw ng China na mag-resupply dyan, di lahat ng inasahin ng mga sundalo dyan nangamatay. 24 anyos na malusog pa ka. Nakita nyo ba yung mga nag-receive kay Browner na mga Marines doon? Ang lulusog? Bakit? Dahil tuloy-tuloy ho ang humanitarian resupply dyan for the past 24 years. Pero, hindi pwede construction materials. Yan ang agreement. Ito ho si Bobo Marcos, hindi raw niya alam na may agreement, so na-rescind niya. Ano ang naging epekto? So wala ngayong protocol existing dyan. The area is now full of uncertainty And when there is uncertainty, there are dangers. Because anything can happen. Ang tawag niya sa English, sa idiom, fair game. Anything can happen. Eh wala naman tayong mas malaking puwersa kaysa sa China. Kaya wala naman tayong magagawa dyan kundi mabomba, ma-green laser, mabigay ang ating mga tenga sa acoustics dahil hindi ho bibitawan ng China yan. Because it's a red line. What does that mean? Masyado hong malapit sa mischief reef kung saan merong military installation ang China para gwardyahan ang reed bank. Hindi ho pwede. Kaya they must be dreaming. Kasi pinipressure na sila ngayon ni Manny Pangilinan eh. Aba, 11 taon na namin kayong sinuswelduhan, sinusuhulan, pinapayola, ini-sponsor. Hanggang ngayon, wala pa kayo ma-deliver. So, nagpapanik na si Carpio dahil busog na busog yung bulsa niya at saka yung bank book niya. Pero wala naman siya nadi-deliver. So, ang stand na ngayon, demilitarize. Ewan ko ngayon dahil sila ngayon na magsabunutan dyan ni Batumbakal dahil ewan ko kung ano stand ni Batumbakal dyan. Maaaring pumayag ang China kung magne-negotiation tayo na, okay, i-pull out yung ship, maaaring pumayag na magkaroon ng lighthouse na, hindi natin masabi dahil only a bilateral negotiation can solve that. But, ano naman ang magiging objection ng China kung lighthouse at saka permanent structure for fishermen, Filipino fishermen lalagay dyan? Yun naman ang akin. But wala tayong way of knowing until we pull out the ship in initiative of negotiation so that we can civilianize the area and our fishermen can fish there unlimited.
Okay, Kado, I just want to report that LCAS communicated na siya ay naglalagay na ng bagong cellphone number to contact kasi hindi nga ma-deliver. Ilang beses na po yung yung librong napanalo po ni LCAS. So from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia siya, sabi niya, sinagot na niya yung request ni Ka Joshua to enter contact number na pwedeng ma-contact talaga. So we continue to go on dito sa ating diskusyon. We just finished with this katontohan po nitong si Batumbakal na mag-file ng bagong kaso. Anong gusto niya? Extend na naman ng 7 years, 14 years na, wala pang mangyayari. No, this year, we should press for the continuation ulit ng dialogue about Reed Bank oil and gas sharing and dialogue and meeting halfway about Ayungin Shoal. Ganyan lang po yan, kasimple. This year, ipe-press po natin yan. Okay. And of course, nauulat na sa global media, meron ding nagpadala sa akin kung saan-saan sa Jordan, nauulat po yung aking mga statements. Sa Middle East, sa Latin America, may mga nag-report, na-pick up na po ng international media na sinabi ko, the South China Sea incidents plotted by the US to provoke China. It is the US that has engineered the incidents in the South China Sea this year to stir up trouble in the area. According to Herman T. Laurel, founder of the Philippine BRICS Strategic Studies. Philippine BRICS pa rin ang ginagamit ng ibang mga yun pa ang pagkakilala po sa atin over a long period of time, but we're now Asian Century Philippines. Okay, and ngayon po, nagmamatigas na po ang China doon sa posisyon tungkol sa Ayungin Shoal. And in the last session, I reported the South China Morning Post report that they saying that the Philippines is on the defensive dito sa mga issues na to. Dahil nga sasalita na ng malinaw po ang Chinese ministry na hindi na po with kid gloves, ika nga. Ngayon, napilitan ngayon mag-depensa itong si Tariela. Dito sa Philippine Star, December 28, sabi ni Tariela, Philippine Coast Guard, West Philippine Sea spokesman slams China's fabrication. Fabrication daw ang sinasabi ng China that the United States was stirring tension in the region. Nandiyan po ang lahat ng ebidensya na po, including si Raymond Powell na this is posted already sa sa screen natin. Raymond Powell po, itong susunod na image po, no? Raymond Powell parang nag-freeze dito sa isang Facebook. Ayaw na. Nandun na. May delay. Okay. So, meron na tayong ebidensya na si Raymond Powell mismo nagsasabi, mag-uusap sila ni Tariela ngayon na sila'y humaharap po sa matinding oposisyon ng China dito sa ginagawa nila. And they will have to talk about what assistance will be. The direktang nakikialam po isang ex-US Air Force Colonel at nakikipag-usap sa isang napaka-low-ranking Filipino official na si Tariela. Sila pa ang magde-define na po ng foreign policy ng Pilipinas. The evidence is so clear, Tariela. Imbitahin nyo kami sa hearing at isasampal namin ito sa mukha mo. Commodore Tariela daw debunked an editorial piece in China.
Mentong,
Yes, go ahead.
sulatan natin ng Coast Guard, sumali tayo dyan sa hearing na yan.
Oo nga, wala namang hearing Publicity lang po ito.
Magpatawag tayo kay Gaban. Patulong tayo sa ating mga kaibigan dyan. Na hindi ko sasabihin ng pangalan.
Anyway, dito sa ulat sabi, Global Times warning the Philippines to remain vigilant against the enthusiasm displayed by the US and some other countries. Yan. Nag-warning ng Global Times, huwag kayong sobrang excited sa tulong ng Amerika. Ibig sabihin, Tariela, tingnan mo nangyayari sa Ukraine. Tingnan mo nangyayari sa Gaza, sa Israel. Tingnan mo nangyayari, balikan mo nangyayari sa Afghanistan. Tingnan mo nangyayari sa Iraq. Tingnan mo nangyayari sa Red Sea. Mga gago kayo. Gusto yung isubo sa gera. Sabi nga dito, nakita ko sa YouTube. I hope I can quickly find it. Nasabi nito pang sino. TV, buti pa Thailand, may high-speed rail with China sila. Pilipinas, gera sa China ang gusto. Ayan po, Tariela, even TV knows better than you. Coast Guard spokesman ka pa. Well, alam naman namin ikaw yung tinalaga po dyan dahil nga mababaw ang kaalaman mo at nagpapatuta ka lang. Okay, I hope we can talk about BRICS. Richard Ong says at 2024 may mga bagong bansa ang sasali sa BRICS Plus at mas lalong kakalat ang investment ng China sa mga bansa sa Middle East at Africa. Well, we'll move on dito sa agenda po natin. Again, China is taking a firm position in announcing, and it also came out in Global Times, pero itong headline na babasahin ko galing sa Inquirer, China tells the US to stop emboldening Philippines provocations in the West Philippine Sea. Amerika naman talaga ang nagtutulak at nag-uudyok ng lahat ng mga to. Kasi nung panahon ni Presidente Duterte, productive na ang relationship, may tulay, which of course hindi inuulat po, hindi pinapaalala po ng ating mainstream media kasi kalaban nila itong progreso ng bayan natin. Sila ay lahat kontrolado lang ni Manny Pangilinan at ni Ramon Ang, Rason et al. Na gustong kangkamin lahat ng mga existing na yaman at ayaw ma-develop ang bansa po. But anyway, itong susunod na successive items po, support the idea that the US is pushing the Philippines, encouraging the Philippines. Ang next one po ay Global Times po ang nag-warning po, US aircraft carrier activity adds fuel to South China Sea tensions. A US aircraft carrier has reportedly entered South China Sea in a move experts on Wednesday sends strong signal to the Philippines amid the Southeast Asian countries' appeal, repeated provocations on Chinese islands and reefs in the region. The US Navy Carl Vinson's carrier strike group departed Singapore following a port visit there and is now in the South China Sea. US Navy Institute News says the news service of the US Naval Institute reported earlier this week. So alam naman natin po ang laro ng Amerikano mag-uudyok, magtutulak po, tapos iiwanan po ang alay po nila pagka may problema na po. Ano, at I think we have an item later on about Ukraine na ang kanilang yung assistant po ng right hand man ng commander ng armed forces nila sabi, mamamatay naman tayo lagi lahat anyway, mabuti nang mamatay sa battlefield. We'll go to that as we move on. It's now 9:22. So US aircraft carrier activity adds fuel to the South China Sea tensions. USS Carl Vinson's. Although may balita po tayo na USS Enterprise is also entering the region. Pero alam natin ito po ay pananakot lang at hindi naman natatakot ang China. Pero may mga magogoyong Pilipino naman. No? Okay, and now this is important also, very important. Kasi China po at ang Japan po ang nagulat po nito, Japan Today. China urges regional alert as US military steps up forward deployment. Bakit particular pong importante po ito? Kasi the US has announced that it is reviving its US base in Tinian Island sa South Pacific. Bakit significant itong Tinian Islands, T-I-N-I-A-N? Kasi diyan po nag-take off during the Second World War si Colonel Doolittle, yung commander at yung pilot po ng anong eroplano yon na nagdala po ng atomic bomb sa Hiroshima and sa Nagasaki, Tinian Island base. I forget the plane, but the commander of course is Colonel Doolittle. The airfield abandoned after World War II lies on Tinian Island, part of the Northern Mariana Islands, a U.S. territory and about 200 kilometers north of Guam. So, dinadagdagan po ng Estados Unidos ang mga base militar po nila, mga air bases po para kumalat po ito at marami pong tatargetin ng China pagdating ng giyera na gagawin ng Estados Unidos para mawasak ang Asia. Pero hindi din magtatagumpay ang Estados Unidos dahil sobrang maraming mga missiles ang handa na po ng China para sa preemptive strike dito pagka may counting kilos na may totoong threat na sa China. And of course, ang ating base militar, 14 na ba? 15 dito sa Pilipinas, plus those little small other installations that are also considered bases by China. We don't know how many are already in place, yung mga radio stations, mga radar stations na nakakalat po. Lahat po yan pasasabugin ng China if it comes to a war with the US. So itong ginagawa po nila BBM, nila Anyon, et al., itong mga to ay suicide of the nation in behalf for the benefit of America, not for the benefit of the Filipinos, obviously. So yan ang wrap up dyan sa situation dyan. But I would like to add this final on this portion, yung column ni Kitatad kahapon, 2 days ago, December 29. Sabi niya sa title, China's Provocations in quotes. So may mas malawak na kahulugan po siya dyan. Hindi po talaga provocation in proper perspective. Importante sa column niya, sinabi niya po dito. It would be most helpful if Marcos Jr. realized that the first monumental provocation, ang unang provocation, sabi ni Tatan, was committed not by the Chinese, but rather by the Philippine government when it granted military sites to the US for use in a possible war with China. Yun. That is a good telling blow against this so-called Chinese provocations. Pilipinas ang nagsimula because of BBM's approval of the US bases. Kung tinanggal po nila yan, edi walang provocation sa China, dinagdagan pa, liban dito. Yung mga provocation ni Natariela, prodded by Project Mushu ng Amerikano. Udyok ng udyok, tulak ng tulak, lait ng lait po ang Estados Unidos gamit ang Pilipinas, US bases and so on. How can they deny this? Samantalang passive lang ang China, nandoon lang po sa pwesto po nila. Ano? Puro mga projects for the Philippines ang ginagawa. Donasyon ng vaccines noong 2022, if I'm not mistaken, or 2021 ba yun? And so on and so forth. But mainstream media, isang malaking kasalanan talaga din dito sa lahat ng mga ito. Mainstream media na walang konsyensya po. Mga tulad ng Rappler lang po ang mga editorial publishers, editorial boards po, editors po ng mga yan. Serving the interest of Mammon, the God of Mammon, pera. This has to change. Paulit-ulit natin sinasabi. Kung sila'y tulad ni Kaado, nagsasakripisyo, magmamaneho at age 76 mula Subic to Manila to join our program. Samantalang he can sell his soul for untold amounts tulad nila Tariela, nila Carpio. O kayo, ating mga commenters po. Well, thank you Senator, kasamang Senator Tatad po sa inyong tukoy dito sa unang provokasyon. The US bases that Bongbong Marcos accepted. Siyempre, anong tingin ng China dyan? Bakit ka maglalagay ng military bases laban sa China dyan? Pero tahimik lang po sila doon. Because China knows it can overcome these bases very quickly. Ayaw naman nila tirahin ang Pilipinas. But kung yan po ang pinipili ni Bongbong Marcos at ang pangkat ng mga amboys dito, ano magagawa ng China? So it is up to us now to keep pressing to end these bases. Meron akong hinanakit din kaila Harry Roque. They should be reviving, as we are trying to do, the case in the Supreme Court against the Supreme Court decision to allow the EDCA to continue. Kasi malinaw po ito sa manipulated, politically motivated decision ni Sereno Court that was illegal ab initio. So malaking argumento na po yun. Pangalawa, tinanggal din si Sereno. So yung mga decision under her Supreme Court leadership can be questioned. Number 3, the majority of the Supreme Court members now are Duterte appointees. So malaking posibilidad na bukas sila sa pagbabago po ng desisyon na yun. So we have to keep working to encourage sila Harry Roque and the Duterte lawyers. I already talked to Sal Panelo through Viber. Hindi naman nagre-respond ng positibo pa so far, but we will follow up. Well, thank you, Kaado, for working on Attorney Jing Paras, who is now supporting our effort. We should meet the first thing we can, the first opportunity we have, itong darating na Enero. Well, anyway, that is from Kit Tatad's column. Thank you very much. Well, there's a post from our old friend Peter Lavinia of Davao. Meron siyang pit editorial na tinatawag po, and we enjoy it. Sabi niya, on the 2004 year of ASEAN-China people-to-people exchange, may comment siya, whether in calm or stormy seas, we shall persevere in understanding, friendship, and cooperation. Together, we shall overcome challenges, prosper, and mutually benefit from one another. Yes, we are one people in different colors, tongues, and flags, but we live under the same blue skies. We are a united people, a strong people in harmony and peace. He's not only talking about the Filipino people, but the whole of mankind and humanity. So it's just a good reminder which I wanted to highlight. Si kasamang Danilong naman po, nag-post po ng isang memory from 2013 ba? Yeah, sabi niya 10 years ago, so 2013. Nung iniimbita ko pa si Richard Haydarian sa aking programa sa GNN, kasama katabi po niya si di yumaong Hero Baswani, a Filipino-Indian fellow analyst natin. But well, sabi ko that was the time when hindi pa po mersenaryo ng Amerikano si Richard Haydarian. Let me see. Sabi ni Nelson Heraldez Mentong, kung defensive lang si China, paano sila makaganti kung sa unang atake ng USA nuclear weapons agad? Tanong lang po. Well, ang assumption po, and China also has an announced no first use policy. But of course, that is based on a belief that everybody is rational. Kado, sige, mukhang naiinip ka na. Come in, please.
Well, there are, before war, there are at least two possibilities China will do or China can opt to do. Number one is, total sinabi na ni Gibo Teodoro that ang sabi niya is China is converting the entire South China Sea as its lake, sabi niya. Napakabobo talaga nito si Teodoro. Ewan ko ba, ang taas ng tingin ko sa taong to dati, napakababa ngayon. There's nothing substantive about this person. The fact is, it is China's lake. Stupid! Dahil ang claim ng China dyan is not on the basis of UNCLOS, it's on the basis of historic rights for legality. Now, for customary international law, which is the ultimate, ano yung customary international law? Ayan ho, problema ngayon sa Palestine eh. Because the customary international law is in favor of Israel. Why? Because of effective control. Doon sa legal, right is might. Dito po sa customary law, might is right. So, sino may control ng territory? China. So, it's virtually their lake. So, what is the first option? Total, naglagay na dyan ang 7 islands, ang 7 to 8 islands sa China at nag-militarize ng mga liba. The entire South China Sea, yung 5 militarized islands out of 7 or 8 is in the Sprat list. Yung paracels is matagal nang militarized. That is why there is some sort of a modus vivendi dyan between Vietnam and China. Dahil nagkaputukan na po dyan eh. Nagkaputukan na po dyan sa paracels. And that is militarized. Now, Spratley is militarized. Scarborough Shoal, we surrendered it to China. Ewan ko ba kung bakit paulit-ulit ito si Batong Gago at saka ito si Carpio. No? Na sinasabi na balik daw yung Scarborough Shoal. Hindi naman binalik yan ng arbitral award. Yan binigay sa lahat ng nasyon who have a traditional fishing ground. But who enforces the law in the area? It is China because we surrendered the territory to them. Bakit? Pinipilit yung kalkalin uli. Ito naman, Ayungin Shoal is militarized. Kaya nga walang naniniwala dito kay Powell eh. Walang naniniwala dito kay Tariela. Alam mo ba ang tawag ko dyan, Mentong, kay Powell? Mentong.
Yes, go ahead.
Alam mo ba tawag ko?
Hindi ko alam.
Lone Ranger. Lone Ranger.
Okay.
Ngayon, kung may Lone Ranger, sino si Tonto? Di si Tariela. Lone Ranger and his Tonto. So, wala eh. So, it's already militarized. So, what is to stop China in its first option to declare the entire South China Sea as an air defense information zone and a naval defense information zone? Nothing is stopping China. Okay? Pangalawang option, mano ba namang pitpitin ang bayag ni Bobo Marcos? Pero ito makakasakit sa buong Pilipinas because this will bring back the economic sanctions that was imposed on Noynoy Aquino, which is on our exports. Maraming options ang China eh. Maraming options ang China. And kayo, you are trying to intimidate China by saying, oh, we will cancel the railway projects. Oh, we will cancel the bridges. Oh, we will cancel the dam projects. Bakit? Gusto nyo kasi i-privatize. Gusto nyo mag-rebidding ulit para magkaroon ng second round ng kutungan eh. Pero hindi yan. China will just say, ayaw nyo? Di wag mo. Remain to be a third world country because you have chosen it. Ang pangatlo, putukan na talaga. Yan yung sinasabi ng Prime Minister ng Singapore na kayong mga Pilipino, kayong mga nakikinig sa amin ngayon, handa na ba kayong mamatay hanggang sa kahuli-hulihang Pilipino pagdidepende sa mga ambisyones ng Estados Unidos dito sa Indo-Pacific? Are you 120 million people na bobo? Aba, wag naman. Lahat naman siguro nakikinig dito sa programa natin, hindi bobo, no? Nag-aaral tayo, nagre-research tayo.
Okay. Anyway, I think we are all trying to stop the disaster, and we're succeeding naman po, So tuloy-tuloy lang po tayo, and that's why we will meet this January po, this coming January. I just want to ask Joshua to post yung ating 2013 TV discussion with Richard Heydarian para paalala po sa lahat na we all have a choice. Si Richard Heydarian, I was taking him under my intellectual care, but he chose to sell himself to the only bidder, which is the United States of America, dahil wala naman tayong maiaalok sa kanyang perang malaki, kundi tulong sa pagbubukas ng isip. Sabi ni Kadani nga, mukhang masama ang kanyang sartorial taste during this time. Sabi ko, wala pang pera yan eh. Pero tingnan po ninyo si Richard Heydarian ngayon, laging naka-Amerikanang, may vest pa, may tie, and so on and so forth. Pero so marami na siyang pera at may Lexus na daw siya. Okay. Well, let's move on. There is a survey. I think this is kanino sir? Okta. This is Okta survey. Very new also. I wanted to point this out po among the questions. On the question of what measures should the Marcos administration prioritize to effectively address the issues related to the conflict in the West Philippine Sea, the measures as ranked by respondents are: number 1, further asserting the Philippines' territorial rights through diplomacy and other peaceful means, 70%. 70%. But second po ay nakakapagtaka dahil may contradiction ata. Further asserting the Philippines' territorial rights through military action defined as expanded naval patrols and troop presence in the West Philippine Sea, 65%. But anyway, alam po ninyo, yung mga surveys na yan, hindi po makapag-elaborate po sa mga detalye ng questions. That is why the only valid dito is that simple question, asserting the Philippines' territorial rights through diplomacy. Kasi po yung through military action, expanded naval patrols, troop presence, marami pong mga detalyeng dapat ipaliwanag para maging malinaw pong question. But still, it's only 65%. Lower pa rin ng peaceful methods, other peaceful methods. Number 3 daw, modernizing and strengthening the Philippine military's capability to protect the country's territories, 62% daw. Alam po ninyo, yung third question na yan po, involves industrializing the Philippines. That is a process that will take at least 25 years, one generation. Your steel industry, your chemical industry for your explosive powders and so on, for your projectiles, metallurgical technology for your projectiles your cannon projectiles, ang dami niyan. You cannot ask such complicated questions in a simple survey like this. Rank number 4, to conduct joint maritime patrol and exercise with allied countries, only 42%. And equal to the rank number 4, to expand diplomatic efforts with countries within and outside the region to reduce tension. Hindi naman napapaliwanag yung tanong na diplomatic efforts with countries. Saan? How many? NATO? BRICS countries? Wala namang sumasama po na BRICS countries dyan. Puro NATO countries na imperialist po. You cannot explain those details. But I wanted to share this with our audience and commenters para mapag-isipan din nila. Talagang actually, I think the Filipino public does not want the gulo that is happening diyan sa ginagawa po ng mga Batong Bakal, Tariela, et al. Diyan. It is only mainstream media that is fanning the flames, creating the smoke, so that the other issues like paulit-ulit natin sinabi, inflation, etc., hindi po ma-occupy ang isip po ng taong bayan. Dahil that is where the failure of BBM is and of the existing and system. Okay. Ito naman sa tugon ng masa pa rin po, survey, tungkol dito sa West Philippine Sea ulit. This is also Okta, tugon sa masa. Most adult Filipinos now agree with Marcos administration's policies and programs to address the territorial disputes between the Philippines and China in the West Philippine Sea. But the question here about this question is, what is the Marcos administration's policy and programs? Wala namang explicitation na malinaw po. Hodgepodge po, kung sinong pwedeng magsalita, yun ang policy. Kung si Tariela magsalita, kung si Anyo, tapos kung si Balikasan, ayaw naman niya ng away sa China, yung NEDA sa economic and so on. So what is the policy? Malabo itong survey question na to. Pero sabi dito, around 58% of adult Filipinos agree with the policies and programs of Marcos Jr., etc., etc. This is a significant 15-point increase in support for the 43% recorded in the second quarter and so on. Well, this is understandable kasi sobrang dominante po. I think there was a count by a Chinese source of the number of reports in the media about the South China Sea issue. In the tens of thousands po. Tens of thousands po. Kaya hindi maiwasan maapekto po ang thinking po ng audience. Kaya yung survey po, we have to analyze it more carefully. But still we can pick up some truths. A significant majority of adult Filipinos favor a dual approach to of diplomacy and military action defined as expanded naval patrols and so on. Well, anyway, in the end, it's diplomacy. I'm sure yung huling action na atin nito, for example, nawala na po ng saysay after just a few days. Okay, we'll go to international issues na after this, Kaado. But it's now 9:45. We have 15 minutes left. We will not have a raffle. We'll just prepare for next week's Huawei Watch raffle. So please tell your other friends and Kaado, Joshua, paki-announce sa ating subscribers that we will have our Huawei Watch raffle next Sunday morning. Okay, and Kaado, any comments before we go to the international?
Well, sabi ko na kanina.
Ayun, okay.
Sige na, tuloy na lang tayo. Walang tayo.
Okay, from the New Arab Genocidal War, Palestinians condemn Netanyahu's new plan to push them out of Gaza. Finally po, lumabas na ang totoo sa bibig po ni Netanyahu ng mga Israeli Jews, which is supported by, I think, 98.5% of the Israeli population. So this is not just the conservatives, the right wing, but there is a problem with the mentality of the Israelis themselves as a population. Ano sinabi po ni Netanyahu? Na siya ay nag-aalok ng voluntary resettlement outside of Gaza sa 1 milyong Palestino or more, whatever the number is now. We don't really know, 1.2 million, 1.5 million. This is already a violation of the UN conventions, against ethnic cleansing, and so on. Kahit na sinasabing voluntary, lumalabas po ang totoong intensyon na gusto nilang linisin ang Gaza, kung saan po ito ay mga lupa po ng mga Palestino. Even where Israel stands is the land of the Palestinians. And ang importante po dito, itong violation of all the human rights conventions, UN rules, suportado po at hindi lang suportado, ang Estados Unidos ay kasama po dyan. Ginagamit lang po ang Israel ng Estados Unidos kasi ang anong totoo sa naghaharing uri sa Estados Unidos, mga white supremacists po yan. Ang kanilang kaisipan kung anong gusto namin, yan ang masusunod. Magunaw na ang mundo. Which is what the crazy Christian Zionists believe. Dapat magunaw na ang mundo bago ang Kristo po nila, I'm not generalizing, I'm saying this Christian Zionists, no, ay makabalik po. And so, ganyan po, no? That is important to establish at this time na nanggaling na po sa bibig ni Netanyahu. Kaya po, of course, maraming diskustado dahil po wala namang nagagawa. Marami tayong ngaw-ngaw. May maraming UN action. May filing of the case na ng South Africa as we stated at the start of the program. Yung mga nahuli po, we started by discussing also this situation in Gaza. At ang South Africa, the country that fought against apartheid and won, is now filing a case in the International Court of Justice, not International Criminal Court, hindi ICC, kundi International Court of Justice, na lehitimong korte po ng United Nations. And this is a very big blow to Israel. And sa isang very significant speech po ni Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, tinawag niya paulit-ulit na Hitler si Netanyahu at ang ginagawa po ng Israel ay katumbas po ng Jewish eradication ng Nazi Germany. And aking inugnay po sa nangyayari sa atin sa Pilipinas, sa laban natin sa Estados Unidos, na ito ay part and parcel, bahagi po dito. Bahagi po itong laban natin at ng laban ng ng United Nations ngayon, hindi lang po ng South Africa, but the entire United Nations against what Israel and the United States are doing. Bahagi po yung ginagawa natin dahil kalaban po natin ang satanas po ng sibilisasyon, ang Estados Unidos, na tagapagmana po ng 500 years of Western colonialism and imperialism po. Kaya po hindi po maliit yung laban natin dito, laban sa Estados Unidos. Hindi ko sinasabi sa Amerikano, but sa United States of America, which is carrying out this genocidal campaign not only in Gaza but all over the world. And they're now trying to invoke or provoke a war with Iran para maging regional war and then global war dito sa Asia para makalimutan ng mundo po ang 32 trillion, 33 trillion US debt po na hindi na nila kayang bayaran po. So we have to win our fight against the United States of America in Asia and support the community, the building of the community of shared future for mankind, positibong kinabukasan para sa sangkatauhan, para sa Pilipino. Sabi nga ni Mauro, if you're still listening, I always repeat this, you cannot be pro-Filipino if you're pro-American. You cannot be pro-Filipino if you are not pro-China today. Yan po. Tuloy natin po ang next item po dito sa international events. And siyempre sumama na ang Yemen, ang mga Houthis, ang Ansarallah, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, movement sa Yemen sa pagpapatigil po ng trade and commerce to Israel. Hindi po totoo na lahat ng shipping ay kanilang binabantaan ng pagpapatarget sa missiles po nila, kundi yung mga tungo lang sa Israel. which is paralyzing the economy of Israel. The United States has tried to organize a coalition of the willing ng mga allies po nitang traditional allies, Australia, European Union, NATO countries. Wala pong sumasali except a few countries, including Seychelles na wala namang navy po to speak of. Ang mga bansa sa Europa nagpadala ng 10 sailors, 12 sailors. Ang Australia, ilang sailors din lang po, wala man lang barko. At ang problema pa ng Estados Unidos habang ang mga Houthis po ay tinatarget ang mga warships po ng Amerika at mga merchant ships na patungo sa Israel ng mga $500, $1,000, $2,000 missiles and drones. Ang bawat missile na pang tapat po dito sa mga murang drones and missiles ng Houthis $20 million, $10 million. At after maubos yung 30, 50 na mga missiles po, kailangan refurbish ng kanilang missiles sa mga ports naman sa Djibouti or even back home sa San Diego. Dahil hindi po basta-basta nagagawa po yan sa karagatan. Kaya napakalaking problema ng Estados Unidos sa pagpipigil sa mga Houthis. And so on and so forth. No? So these are the situations there. Again, remember, ang laban po natin dyan ay parang laban din po sa Middle East, laban sa ginagawa ng Israel na genocide at ethnic cleansing na suportado po ng Estados Unidos. I think we are in the last two items sa economics sa international scene. The first one po is Huawei has fully recovered po from the sanctions, and now from Reuters po, Chinese tech giant Huawei Technologies expects to report revenue exceeding 700 billion yuan or $98.5 billion for 2023, 9% higher than the past ata, according to comments from rotating chairman Ken Hu in an interview news message by Reuters. And finally, again, kasi nga ang target po ng Estados Unidos ay sakalin po ang ekonomiya ng Russia dito sa Ukraine war. Ay kabaliktaran po nangyari. Nag-i-expand po ang merkado ng Russia all over the world, in Africa, West Asia, Latin America, and of course, in Asia. China is now buying the pork supply ng Russia to begin supplying pork to China. So may ibang merkado po kaysa sa Western market na lang na nauubusan na rin po ng economic vitality. Ang Europa is 2% in recession. Ang America will be entering recession in 2024. And so the greater market po, the greater world po is the Global South, the BRICS plus countries, the G77, kung saan tayo din naiiwanan po dahil sa foreign policy ni Bongbong Marcos. Last 5 minutes, Kado, everything under the sun for you to help us analyze and give guidance. Go ahead, Kado.
Well, bagong taon na and wala naman tayong hangad kundi kapayapaan. But we must act on our convictions, mga kabansa. Especially this year. Bakit? Marami pong maaaring mangyari this year dahil nga na marami na ang nakakaalam, mga kabansa, ng kapalpakan ng administrasyon ni Bongbong Marcos. Marami na po. Hindi na, wala namang resulta eh. Isang taon at kalahati, mga kabansa, from July 1, 2022. 18 months. Not a single achievement. Puro promeso. Kumuha pa ng at least 75 billion pesos sa Development Bank of the Philippines at Bank of the Philippines. Yan dapat yan pampondo ng ating agrikultura. Dapat yan pondo ng ating mga farmers. Para lamang ma-ransom nila yung kanilang tagong yaman. Yung ba? Wala naman kasing pumapasok na investments. Kung meron man, baka 1 or 2% lang ng projections. Kasi kung panipaniwalaan natin, itong si Secretary Garapal ng PCOO, no? Aba, baka lumampas na ng 5 trilyon ang mga promise investments. Pero alam natin na hindi naman talaga ito, 90% nito, hindi naman talaga darating dahil nga sa sinasabi namin paulit-ulit na ang unang panggasolina sa lahat ng negosyo ay kuryente. At kung ang kuryente ay mataas, sino naman ang magtatagal? O kanina, sa pagsimula, sinabi ko, na sa Subic, kagagaling ko lamang, napakalungkot po. Dati yan, every month may cruise. May isang, cruise ship na nagdadaong dyan at least once a month. Ngayon, ni ho, wala. Yung Ayala Mall po, yung North Point, meron siyang isang area doon, nakalagay, Pamasko Village. Alam ba niyo mga kabansa, ni isang tiyangge walang nakapwesto. Oh my God. Ang mall, mga tao, kakapurit. Kaya ako hindi naniniwala dito kay Larry Gadon. Dahil kung pupunta man ang mga tao sa mall, para kumain lang sa labas, hindi para mamili. Hindi para magkaroon ng exchange of commerce. And it is not a proof na may pera sa bulsa ang Pilipino.
Tado, 1 minute.
I am the living example. Hello?
Yes, sir, go ahead. We can hear you.
I am the living example of an impoverished Christmas this Christmas. Inaamin ko na sa inyo mga kabansa. I had to spend my Christmas in the most austerity manner that I can imagine. I had to make both ends meet. Why? Kasi abolish na yung 500. Ang gastahan ngayon nandun na sa ube, nandun na sa 1,000. And that is how inflated the prices out there are. And you know what I'm talking about. You know that if you go to the market with only 5,000 or to a grocery with only 5,000 in your pocket, you will not be able to buy even a week's supply. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about that this year, sisingilin tayo ng ating konsyensya at we have to put action to our convictions, mga kabansa. Please watch forthcoming events. Sinimulan na namin ang National Speak Day. Noong December 13 sa Quezon City Prosecutor's Office. That was only a testing. And the results were very good. The publicity, especially we got, was very, very rewarding. For the good cause, for the national interest of the people, for the 93% of what you want, you, the people of this country, who owns this country because you are the true sovereigns. Maniningil po tayo this year, maniningil tayo this year. Please be one with us. Watch for announcement. Be on the alert. Maraming salamat po. Manigong bagong taon para sa atin at bagong administrasyon dapat para sa bansang Pilipino. Palitan na, sobra na. Yan po ang masasabi natin.
Okay,
there has got to be a better way.
We thank Mary Jane Montinola. Sabi niya, so true. Grabe ang bilihin ngayon. I'll just extend by a few minutes para mabasa po ang ilang mga comments dito. Jeffrey Grande, dapat yakapin na ng Pilipinas at sumali sa Economic Alliance sa BRICS Plus dahil ito ang magdadala ng economic development and prosperity. Jose Nathaniel Malvar, hail and salute to the entire GTNR family. Thank you so much for being the beacon of truth. Hindi ko na babasahin yung buo. I'll just move on. Si Mug Session TV watching from Iloilo. Forward March, Larry Gadon, tahimik naging Bob din. Nasa payroll ni Bobo Marcos. Do not vote Larry Gadon. Di man lang mag-resign o mani sa admin ni BBM. Pera-pera lang po yan eh. No? We try to understand him pero talagang napakahirap na po ngayon na pinagtanggol niya ang pag-suspendi sa SMNI which is unacceptable. Anyway, Maya Ota, Happy New Year. Noel Rivera, paano kung kung sa STS, borrowing the phrase from Eastern Alex Cristoforo, anyone who believes the U.S. will provide full military support in the Philippines against China, I have a bridge to sell you. Well, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat for a whole year and many, many more years in the past of support and assistance and help in spreading the truth and giving a hope for a better future for our country and for humanity, for the world. Mabuhay po. We'll see you next week. This is when we will have a raffle for this watch. And sa New Year raffle naman po, after the New Year, ito naman po, the main prize po for the year. I have to admit, I did not have enough time to work on more prizes, but meron pa namang Chinese New Year, Lunar New Year, we will raise some new prizes there. And of course, our books, we'll try to deliver those that have been delayed. So, mabuhay and take care of yourself. We have another year of very, very important fights ahead. We'll be together again and we'll have a meet and greet this January. Mabuhay and see you again next Wednesday and Sunday.